Welcome back, comrades. This is Gaming with Austin, and today we are on episode 128 of Season 2 of the Utopian Community series. And today, we're gonna finish paving the pathways. We're gonna try to finish paving pathway for floor 14, floor 15. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh. Then widen that heat sink right over there. And stopping your child successfully from eating so much in the middle of a growth spurt is child abuse. What you're doing to stop your child from eating so much, there is no humane way to stop your child from eating so much if they're going through a growth spurt. There is no humane way of doing it. There is no humane way of doing it. All the methods that are done to stop children from doing it is ultimately inhumane. That is because in the long run, you're depriving your child of the nutrients they need in order to grow. How to know if something's nutritious for you or not? For children, they know if it's nutritious for them or not by the taste of it. Because for children, when they ingest vegetables, they're burning more calories digesting it than they are receiving it from the vegetables they are consuming, which is not good for their growth. Because if the growth gets stunted by after being forced on vegetables for so long, they're gonna because I know, it's gonna shorten their lifespan. Stunting your child's, your growth getting stunted in the middle of a growth spurt can actually shorten your lifespan big time. It's going to shorten your lifespan. Your child needs to grow. If you stop your child from growing before they're physiologically done, their lifespan's going to be cut short. You'll only achieve the full lifespan of a short stature if if the short stature is genetic. But if it's acquired, like you stunt your child's growth, like attenuate it long before they reach adult height, you're literally killing your child. Growth attenuating drugs can kill your child. Because children who reach full adult height tend to be more sexually based on statistics, sexual activity tends to be based on percentage of height, percentage of completion to adult height. Which explains why a lot of women, your growth getting stunted can actually lead to infertility. Especially if it's intentionally done. Then the Battle of Poltava between the Swedish forces and the Russian gods. This is proof that malnutrition can affect your chances of winning a war. You know, for some people, forcing them on a vegan diet can actually kill them. Because some of those people cannot produce enough cholesterol. Some people eat raw meat for years and are still alive. That is because the bacteria that is responsible for making most of us sick if we eat raw meat, constant exposure will lead to immunity. Except for cases of MRSA and other staphylococcal infections. Because Staphylococcus aureus can actually shut down your immune system, thus putting your body at an even greater risk for secondary infections. Certain cancers can in fact shut down your immune system, thus making your immune system useless in fighting cancer. Making America healthy, believe it or not, making America healthy again does not involve reducing the obesity rate. It's more of reducing the amount of people that are underweight. What I mean by being underweight, meaning your fat percentage being below 3% or having a BMI that is below the 20th percentile. For many of us under 20 years old. But if there's a genetic cause to being underweight, because some people are genetically underweight. Truth, when it goes to food, the longer you go without food, the more you're gonna have to obsess about it. Because your food obsession when you're going without food is your brain's way of telling you you need to eat as soon as possible. But when food obsessions become really, really powerful, when you become severely malnourished, it's your brain's way of telling you you need to eat right now. Naturally, your body has to hold on to its fat reserves at all times, no matter what you do. Because if it cannot hold on to it, you start losing fat, it can actually kill you. Fat loss, while being sedentary, can actually kill you. Because sedentary fat loss can actually be a sign that you are malnourished. Or that you are sick. Literally, physically sick. As in the case of Freddie Mercury, and near the end of his life, Steve Jobs. When Steve Jobs died, he had almost no body fat left. Fat loss, even if you're sedentary, is a sign that you are sick. Literally sick. That you are ill. Because naturally, you're not going to lose body fat. You're not able to lose body fat unless you do work. If you lose weight and be sedentary, your body's going to have to hold on to it. If your body can't hold on to it and you're sedentary, you lose fat while sedentary, you're going to die. You can't lose body fat without doing work. If you lose body fat but don't do the work to lose it, it's unhealthy. You're going to become really weak. Your heart muscles are going to shut down. Your body fat is responsible for creating a phospholipid bilayer. Even if your fat cells don't have any free fatty acids whatsoever, like they shrivel down to almost nothing, you're still going to have some body fat in the form of the phospholipid bilayer. I learned that in biology. That your body has to hold on to at least a little bit of fat in order for you to stay alive. Because fat loss as a sedentary person can actually be a death sentence. If you're sedentary and your body cannot store energy as fat, that means you have a health issue. Because storing body fat when sedentary is actually healthy. Burning body fat as a result of doing work is also healthy. But burning body fat and being sedentary at the same time is not healthy. That's not how your body works. It's really not how your body works. There's a reason your body has to store energy as fat. If we get rid of obesity completely, it would be the end of the human race, as we know it. We always had obese people in society. Obesity existed since the dawn of humanity. Now widen the catwalk, the heat sink again. Why call it a heat sink? It's beginning to look more like one. If you burn fat but don't exercise, that is unhealthy. Losing fat without exercise is unhealthy. Because your body has to hold on to the fat when you're not using your energy that you consume. Your body has to hold on to the fat cells when you're not doing any work. Because that's your body trying to keep you alive, basically. Want to know the real culprit behind the rise of obesity around the world? No, it's not fast food. I know many of us believe it's fast food. It's really not. Because there are people out there who eat fast food non-stop and are skinny as fuck. The real culprit to the rise in obesity rates despite government efforts to curb it, it's actually particulates we breathe in when we breathe in the air. Coming from the factory. Like the particulates coming from the factories. The particulates are known to not only cause insatiable appetite, but also, even if it doesn't cause an insatiable appetite, it's gonna fuck with your metabolism. Another culprit is that the government cannot do is that the population is actually getting older, on average. And believe it or not, it's the aging population is not only increasing cases of obesity, it's also increasing the cases of people that are underweight, even in the developed world. Because if people survive to 90 years old, they're not going to be at a healthy weight. Nor will they be overweight. In fact, many of them are actually going to end up becoming underweight. Many of them are in fact going to be, many of them are actually going to become underweight. Because I had a great-grandmother who lived to be 90. She wasn't overweight at all. She was the opposite of it. Because your metabolism is slowing down. Initially, it's going to cause you to become overweight, but then your metabolism would slow down to a point in which you actually end up becoming underweight. Because your metabolism would slow down to the point where you cannot digest food anymore. Nor can you crush it down with your gut. Your brain is using the reason you cannot use your brain to its full potential, like for knowledge, that is because your brain serves several functions. Knowledge is one of those. But the main function of the brain is to keep you alive. Because your brain uses at least 15% of the 20% of the total body's expenditure to keep you alive. Most of the 20% your brain uses is actually used to keep you alive. Is actually used for all the involuntary functions you can think of, like breathing. Your heart beating. Those are all involuntary functions. Your brain controlling the diaphragm, it takes a lot of energy. Your heart beating, it takes a lot of energy. To maintain 60 beats per minute. But when my heart rate gets checked, like in the morning, at a doctor's office, my heart rate is below 60. Sometimes it tends to be below 60. That's okay, because I'm very active. Pumping iron every day is my thing. My favorite pastime, pumping iron. And if you cannot store any body fat whatsoever, all your muscles in your body will atrophy. Not only that, your bones would become brittle as dry sticks. Because your bones need fat deposits too, to maintain its strength. Fat plays an important role in a lot of biological processes that are used to keep you alive. Like the creation of the phospholipid bilayer. The phospholipid bilayer has a hydrophilic head and a lipophilic tail. Hydrophilic head and a lipophilic tail. The hydrophobic tail is also known as the lipophilic tail. If you remove all your body fat, then you have nothing to create the phospholipid bilayer, and all your cells will die. And your body really will not like that. If your body's not producing enough cholesterol, then you'd have to source it from dairy, eggs, and meat. If your body's not producing enough of it, then you'd have to source it. In order to be vegan and healthy, your body has to produce enough cholesterol. With creatine, one way to harvest creatine is go into the sewers. Because you'll find it in urine. Even the urine of human beings. I know this sounds disgusting. And scavenging is one of those instincts we all have. There's a very good reason your body is trying to keep you from losing weight. Obesity always existed throughout the course of human history. And it's never gonna go away. Obesity will never go away. No matter how hard you try to eradicate it, it's not gonna go away. In fact, back in the Stone Age, being obese was actually considered healthy. In fact, those with a higher birth weight back then would have had a better survival advantage compared to the modern day average birth weight. Obesity is something we cannot eradicate. If we did, it would be bad news for the species. No matter how abundant food is, we need obese people. Because famines can happen without warning. Because they're there so the human race can be on the lookout for when a famine hits. Because sometimes famines can happen without warning. Without any explanation. Biologically, naturally, with children, not only they go to bed like biologically speaking, not only children go to bed very early, they have a natural tendency to wake up very late too, despite going to bed early. That is because they need a lot more sleep than adults. Because they are growing very quickly. If you intentionally attenuate your child's growth before if you stop your child from growing taller before they're biologically done, you're killing your child slowly. Because stopping your child from growing taller before they're biologically done is bad for them. One of the factors as increasing the obesity rates is the average height. People who are like 7 feet tall tend to weigh upwards of about at least... Usually they tend to be in the upper 200s, or they tend to weigh at least 300 pounds. They need that extra weight to support their bones. Because having a so-called normal BMI is not healthy if you're like 7 feet, 8 feet tall. Because you need a lot more bone mass. You need a lot more bone density. I'm doing my gradual caloric intake gradually. If I do it too quickly, I'd put too much resistance on my muscles in a short period of time, which is not good for my muscles. Because you gotta take caloric intake seriously if you're gonna think about bulking up. Take it slow. Do it too quickly, you're gonna tear your muscles apart. You do not want that. And some countries make prostitution a federal crime, like something that is punishable by the federal court. Like, they'll override the provincial courts. My stance on adultery is, as long as your spouse says yes, you should be good. If your spouse says yes. Eradicating obesity successfully will bring in bad news for the human race. Those so-called anti-obesity activists, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get rid of the human race. They're trying to cause humans to go extinct. They're trying to cause human extinction. Because in the event of famine, it's good to be overweight. Anyways, this should be it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you like this video, dislike if you disliked it, subscribe for more, share this with your comrades on social media. As always, thanks for watching, stay tuned for more, and peace out.